Hello, you have a prepaid call from
Keith Jesperson,
Bruce Davis,
Patton Clark, Robert Barno.
What's your friend?
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of The Lighter Side of Serial Killers. I'm your host, Keith Rovere. We don't have a guest today, but I got a piece of mail that I wanted to share with you. We had on the video podcast, and she's also been on the audio podcast a few times, convicted serial killer Dana Gray. I've known Dana for many years. And I knew this piece of mail was coming because he sent it to somebody else, also a women's rights activist out of California too. A good friend of mine. So I knew it was coming, but I wanted to share it with you. I posted on my social media page. I posted her post. I reposted, I guess you could say. But the topic is transgenders at California women's facilities. We're going to be talking about that in a new video podcast we're going to be doing very soon with Dana, and she'll elaborate a little bit more from firsthand experience. Because if you read the newspapers and you hear about the new laws being passed allowing transgenders in California facilities, they talk about third-party groups coming in and double-checking, making sure everything is good, running smoothly. It's all a lie. We're going to get into details with that, listening to what Dana says, because not one woman at the women's facility were interviewed by this third-party group of how this transition of transgenders in women's facilities are working out. Not one woman was interviewed. Not one. And we're going to be finding out about what happens when a male comes into a women's facility. Now, we have a transgender. Now, I don't know the exact terminologies and all this stuff, but let's just say a legit transgender who has no sexual attraction to a woman is allowed into a woman's facility. You might think, well, okay, what's the harm in that? But you have to understand most women at women's facilities, their charges, murder charges or violent offenses they've done, usually stem from them being abused by a man. And most of the time, it's them killing the guy that was abusing them, and they're doing time for it in one form or another. So just the fact that a man who identifies as whatever they want to identify as goes into a woman's facility, some women have decades of healing under their belt, all to be reversed just like that. But now they're forced to live with a man? I still can't wrap my head around this. And this is just a legit transgender. Just the fact of them walking in. Now, Dana and other women, I know a lot of women at women's facilities, prison facilities in California. The ones that are legit transgenders, I mean, there's some, you can be a douchebag no matter who you are, but there's a few who are legit transgenders, don't bother anybody, just want to do their time like everybody else. That aside, again, the fact that they're there, a man is there, identifying whatever they want to identify as, is so traumatic for women who have done so much healing over the years, all to have it reversed by a man now saying, oh, you have to live with a man now. Because some of these facilities, it's not like you have a single cell all the time, especially Dana's facility. When you get to more of the honor unit, well, your room might hold 8 people. You know, you got double bunk beds and little dormitory kind of layouts. Well, you might have 1 or 2 transgenders you're living with now. Well, in the eyes of those women there, that's a man. You know, it's not about being politically correct. All the years of trauma that they had, now they're living with a man. We're going to get in deeper into that because I want you to hear it from them, not just from me and my personal opinions about that. But there's another problem. Their law basically says if you identify as a woman, they have to let you in. Well, sounds good to me. I might do that myself just to get to a woman's facility, not a man's facility. Guess what? That's what they're doing. Because when this third-party group went to do a little check out everything, make sure the law that they passed was working okay and there's nothing negative about it. Again, they didn't interview any of the women there. You know, why would they want to do that? To find the actual facts about how horrendous this whole transition is. But guess what Dana sent me in the mail? A transgender woman. Remember, can't have sex in prison. So she sent me a package today that I want to share with you. It said, Happy Valentine's Day from CDCR. This is what they're handing out at the women's facilities in the bathrooms. Condoms. This is right from Chowchilla, right from her prison facility. You have condoms and dams. You know what a dam is? It's kind of like a condom. It's more like a kind of like a fruit roll-up in a sense. This is grape flavor, and this is mint flavor dams, and a condom. Why would you hand out a condom at a women's facility when you're not allowed to have sex and there's no men? If they're legit transgender men, why are you handing out condoms? Do you know something that we don't know? You know how terrified these women are there? Guess what? Women are getting pregnant. Shocker. Shocker. How come that's not reported with Governor Newsom? Now, why is he talking about the women that are getting pregnant there? How about the forced abortions out on the yard? What? I can't hear you. I don't hear that on the news. How about the weapons, the homemade weapons now that are brought into women's facilities? Why? Because guys know how to do that stuff. How about the increase of drugs there? Now, this is a whole can of worms we're opening up here to a whole higher level. Did you hear what I said? Condoms at a women's facility. Stamped. There it is. See, it's stamped. Right here, Central California Women's Facility. Stamped right there. So obviously I ain't making it up. And we're going to have Dana Gray on the show talking about it. So just wrap your head around that. We got dams. Flavors. Hey, that's what a good deal. We got the condom, assorted colors, lifestyles, assorted colors, and we have mint flavor and grape flavor. Trust dams. Look at that. Handing out in prisons. Women's prisons, by the way. I can't wrap my head around it. This world's going crazy. California's being crazy. That's why everybody's leaving. Everybody's leaving California, going to Texas. But we got to stand up for this. There's a lot of people who support what I do, promote change, promote positive reinforcement in prison facilities. I just don't have serial killers on to talk about murders and stuff. Keith Jesperson's about the only person who really talks about his crimes. Has been on my show countless times. Everybody else talks about positive change, how negative reinforcement doesn't work, but positive reinforcement does. And people who listen to my show message me on social media, and friends of mine, they were already speaking out about it. What can you do? Write to the local congressman there. Retweet it. Oh, can you still retweet? It's X now, right? I still call it Twitter. The good old Twitter machine, as I say. Retweet, re-X, whatever the hell it is. Post on Instagram. Message me for screenshots of these condoms. You have my permission to retweet all my pictures of these condoms and the mint-flavored dams that are handing them out at a women's facility. Comment below what you think. Is it me? Is it me? Am I just not with the times? Is that... Should I be more socially acceptable? Now, again, this is not saying anything negative about a real transgender, aside from the fact that they're undoing all these years of healing mentally. There's emotional healing, and now they're forced to live with a man. Now, I say man, a biological man who says they're a transgender, and maybe really are, but you understand the emotional torture these women are going through now. Just the fact that a man is living with them. I'm not talking about a guard who can go and can leave, but someone who they're forced to live with or bunk on top or below with them. They're not sleeping. And because they know that men that are there are fake. They're not real transgenders. They're just saying it. And then the whole other story, where Dana's going to talk about this. I don't want to steal all her thunder until she comes on the show. But they have more rights than the women there. They're allowed to request more comfortable clothing. Now, you might think, well, what's that have to do with anything? Well, it should be equal rights. right? Is that what they fight for? Equal rights, but they can have cosmetic surgery. They can have more comfortable clothing than the women who've been there for decades. Their needs are met first. And guess what? If you have a problem, like a legit beef with a transgender who was there, even if it's a transgender's fault, well, guess who has to leave? You, not the transgender. Why? We don't talk to the transgender. We can't say anything negative about them. So guess who gets punished? The women. Even if the women were in the right, the transgenders stay, the women leave. They don't want to get kicked out of the dorm and to go to somewhere else. Wait till you hear these stories. I'm not just making this up. It's not my personal opinion. It's fact. They're actual facts. We're going to be talking to a few women on my podcast coming up about this. But Dana Gray is probably the most notable one. And we're going to have a few others also. But I just wanted to come on do a short little video talking about Dana. On a side note, she's also sent me a few other things. I don't know if you didn't know that Dana's actually an artist. She sent me a lot of things over the years. For my birthday, she knows I play guitar. I'd like to hang out at the beach. This is something that she showed me, that she painted for me. You can see that coming up. Let me go back a little bit. See kind of the guitar and the waves. She sent me this. Kind of more like a Christian tree and seasons and all that. Look at this guy. Pretty cool too. Another one I have hanging up. Some of my favorite artists have drawn a picture of, with the Bible at all, even if you're not familiar with the Bible, about the serpent, the Genesis chapter 3, where kind of eventually good's going to work out over evil. The picture of a serpent, the picture of a God one day, Jesus one day is going to crush the head of the serpent. So I want a crucifix going through the head of a serpent, and Jesus came out with this. Back here a little bit. How cool is that? It's got a little bling in there too. It's allowed some jewels, And I get California's a progressive place, and there's some good things about that. I like art supplies. You're allowed to have jewels and different textures, paints, and quarterly packages. Like Dana sends me a check usually for a couple $100. I think one's in the mail coming for like $350 for her quarterly packages and some things that she's allowed to buy. Not just her, but California in general for guys, men's and women's facilities. People send me money all the time for me to cash for them, like Bruce Davis of the Manson family and a few others, Eric Houston, also out of California. There's some other people who are on death row there who are now getting transferred out because there's a moratorium on everybody on death row. They're actually starting to move people. Eric Houston's already gone. And a few people are already going to be transferred out of San Quentin prison because death row is basically non-existent now, and moving people out. And it was amazing. It was good to hear that somebody who's been on death row for so many years with so limited time or access to outside, everywhere they go, they're shackled, they're handcuffed. He said today that from like 10:30 in the morning until evening time, they have access to the yard, that they can actually go outside. He's been there, I don't know, 20 years or so. So it's amazing to hear some positive change for the good. Handing out condoms at a women's facility, it's not good. It's not good. Again, this is not a right thing. Like a right and wrong thing as far as transgenders' rights. And all. We're not saying not to have rights. We're just saying think about this a little more. If you're a transgender, cool. I'm not saying nothing bad against you personally. All for you. Good on you. But think about all the women there who are being mentally tortured by having a man living with them. I know it's a transgender man, but in their mind, it's a man living with them. And that's only this part of the story. The bigger part of the story is they're not transgenders. They're dudes who want to get out of a male facility to go hang out with the chicks, to do easier time, to have sex. Oh, they're not going to have sex. Well, they're not. The prison facility gave the okay to hand out condoms. I'm just going to leave you with that, for sure. Again, this is not a gay bashing, transgender bashing thing. I'm all for you. Good on you. Come out of that damn closet. It's the women there who are forced to live with transgenders people, a man, basically. I don't care who you identify as. The mental torture on them. I get that if you're at a male facility and maybe you don't feel like it's prison. This is prison. We're not talking about the country club here. It just sucks for you. You're in a male facility, you're transgender. Just because you identify one doesn't give you the right to go use the woman's bathroom. You're in prison. We're not talking about Target, putting a third bathroom in. We're not talking about that nonsense. We're talking about women getting raped by men and facilities that allow it.